Hello, my little muchachos. Welcome to Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine on, wow, what a day to have a show. Yesterday's Woj bomb affecting the Cleveland Cavaliers makes this a very interesting program because we have three Northeast Ohio sports franchises in various stages of transition. And it's very interesting to compare how these organizations are trying to approach the situation they're in and get to the higher rung level. And that's kind of how we're going to start the show off today. If you're living in a cave, the Cavaliers have acquired Donovan Mitchell from the Utah Jazz, which is a bomb. By NBA standards, it was like the big dick of truth hitting New York all at once. The Knicks fans were all ready for Donovan Mitchell, and it didn't happen. The Cavs stepped in front of them in line, and what looked like it was a dead deal for the Cavaliers that wasn't really being pursued that hard suddenly became a reality. There's going to be a lot of people who question what we gave up. Lauri Markkanen, who's our 7-foot guy, that's our three-point shooter, our first-round selection in the most recent draft, Agbaji and Colin Sexton, who wasn't getting anywhere with his deliberations with the Cavaliers management, and everybody ends up a winner. It's a better situation, I think, for Sexton, who has agreed on a 4-year, $72 million sign and trade deal out of this when he was only being offered $13 million max by the Cavaliers. So he can say he got more money. As far as the picks or the thing that are irritating a lot of fans, three unprotected first round picks in 2025, 2027, and 2029, and two pick swaps with the Jazz, 2026 and 2028, all for Donovan Mitchell. So that's a big trade. And it's interesting because I've had, 24 hours to think about this. And my first thing was, oh no, what have we done here? We are mortgaging a lot of picks in the future, and we're a young team, and it's not like there's available veterans who are going to help this team out. And we had this plan that we were going with 3 7-footers and all of that stuff. I think everybody knows how I feel about Agbaji. I just don't see the athleticism. I see him as a possibly a guy who could be open in the corner and around the three and hit threes. He's a very accurate shooter when he's got the opportunity, but he's not going to do anything with the ball in his hands. And that kind of runs counter to what the Cavaliers would have wanted. So he becomes expendable. Colin Sexton didn't shoot very many threes, although he shot a higher percentage in his career than Donovan Mitchell, but didn't shoot very many. If he was making them, great. If he missed 2 in a row, it seems that he would stop taking them. Sexton coming off of a knee surgery, and also we've tried the backcourt of Sexton and Garland and didn't work out so well defensively. I'm sorry?
No, just saying it doesn't work.
Well, that's, what we found out anyway.
The only thing I was really disappointed, Marketing, I feel like, is a little bit bigger of a loss than some people will give credit for. But to your point about Agbaji, I don't know, maybe it was just me. I liked his potential because of what you talked about with his ability to hit from outside. But if it means getting a guy like Spider, Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland, come on, you pull that trigger. So, and who knows, we were talking about it yesterday. I should say me and a couple other people. and it was the conversation of, well, okay, what if the Cavs said, hey, we'll give you Isaac Okoro, and then the Jazz said, no, we want Agbaji. You know what I
Which
mean?
probably happened.
Yeah, it could be that. And in that case, you know what? I wish you the best in your future endeavors with the Utah Jazz. But this is huge. Like, this is huge, huge.
Well, and here's, I guess, when I first started out, it's like, so much for the 3 7-footer set. And that was the thing that kind of propelled us in a unique way as far as the system that we ran offensively in Cleveland that got us off to that really good start in our NBA season last year. But I started taking a look at the other two Cleveland franchises, the Browns, of course, and the Guardians, and each team is striving to be competitive in a very different environment for each sport. We're going to start with the Cavaliers because it's of the big news. But I want to remind everybody that if you're going to make it in the NFL, the common wisdom says you got to have a quality quarterback. All right? And that's what the Browns did. They went out and got a quality quarterback when he's going to play, week 13. And who he's going to have to throw to, who really knows? But that's the starting position, along with you need to have, a sound running game. The Guardians, on the other hand, are in a completely different sport. And with the NFL, getting a quarterback is difficult. You either draft one and get lucky, or you try to trade for one. And the only ones who are going to be traded or trade bait are going to be people who were like Garoppolo, who really never accomplished much of the end goal that you would expect from a really good quarterback. Baseball is completely different. Baseball has no rules because of the payroll discrepancies and teams being able to load up based on just not having any cap at all that they have to answer to. So, you got the Dodgers, who were flooded with talent, the Yankees, who were flooded with talent, and then you have a team like the Guardians, who are in a completely different situation altogether. But in the NBA, and I think realistically, I think Derek said this, I'm going to say it in a different way. It's all well and good to take the league by surprise with a 3 7-foot man attack and to be the surprise of the league one year, to be figured out and to fall on your face the next. The only way that you get anywhere in the NBA is with superstars. Either you draft them. Cavaliers been lucky. They got Kyrie Irving. Of course, he's ended up being a flake, but nobody can question the skill level and the fact that he helped us win a championship. LeBron James doesn't need to be mentioned, just as far as bringing winning basketball to Northeast Ohio. Kevin Love. You have names of players who were stars and perennial all-stars, and the constellation doesn't come up very often where the Cavaliers are going to have the opportunity to have multiple all-star players on a team. And it sure didn't look like it was coming anytime soon. And then Garland has really developed, which has been a great, pleasant surprise. Mobley has come as advertised as having a lot of ceiling room, but still extremely competitive at a lower weight, not fully developed physically yet. And then getting Jared Allen for damn near nothing from the Nets was like an absolute steal. And having that big man who takes up space down low, who's a physical player, shoots a high percentage around the rim. So you've got a guy who blocks shots, and you have a guy who shoots high percentage from the low post. But now you have more than just Darius Garland and having to rely upon 31, 32-year-old former ACL tear Ricky Rubio to team up with in the backcourt. You now have a certified 2 who's dangerous from 3, who's proven in post-game play that he has upped his figures than what they usually are during the regular season. So he knows how to play in large games. And he's only 25, 26 years old. And he's been in the league for 5 years. So he knows the way the game's played. And you can't just sag in on the big men. You're going to leave him open. It's dagger time. So, but more than anything, the idea of having a superstar player who is recognized as being a star player in the league that nobody can deny, and having him on your team, not only is it a prestige thing, it's a publicity charm for the NBA. Now we're going to be talked about.
As we should. I mean, this team, I thought we were maybe like 2 years away. We know it's a very young squad, but now that we got Donovan Mitchell, I mean, him, DG, and then the 2 bigs with Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Just imagine once Evan Mobley gets fully going. How many times have we mentioned that on this program? Once he gets fully going, that 4 is going to be crazy. I think the bench is good too, but my question is what's going to happen at the 3? Because are you going to start Okoro? Or are you going to have, I forgot his name, Levert? Are you going to have Levert? What? Somebody, I heard somebody mention maybe Dean Wade even getting a start at the 3.
I think they're a move away.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, you see, and this is the other thing about the NBA. I thought the funniest article that I read was the reaction around the league from players when they found out about this. I think it's hilarious. Isaiah Thomas, former briefly Cleveland Cavalier, he said, Cleveland going to be nice with a good-ass coaching staff. That was his comment. But then you have Eric Pascal, who says, what? Then you have Mikal Bridges, who's like, oh, wow. Then you have Rudy Gay, who's like, wow. Then you have Tyrese Halliburton, who's like, sheesh. These are things that,
Hey, Bronk, I think Bronk hit the nail on the head right there, talking about that question mark of a 3. A 3 is going to want to come here now. I mean, why wouldn't you want to come with this team?
And that's what I'm getting at. Look at Josh Hart. Huh? Where the fuck that come from? And, this is like, oh, no, not Cleveland. Stephen A. Smith was a hoot. To find out that the Cavaliers just literally swiped Donovan Mitchell from under their New York noses. And it's like the low water mark, and they're trying to justify it. Not Stephen A. Smith. He's just flat out pissed. It's like, you can't give away all your assets. And Stephen A. Smith's like, what assets? We were 37 and 45. Stop it. So, and again, what was just said is absolutely true. You saw what happened when LeBron came here. When the word drifted out, Kyrie signs a long-term deal. The next thing you know, Kevin Love is on board. I mean, people will find a way. The NBA knows that it's not that the Cavaliers are going to win a championship. What they know is what keeps the publicity machine going. And it's like, you're not going to get anywhere realistically if you are dependent on the 76ers for getting things done. And you can only play that out so long. You can only play out the Bucks so long. You need to constantly be feeding in new names, new faces. And to the country, Darius Garland is a new face because we didn't get any television exposure.
Yeah.
I mean, Evan Mobley was, he didn't even win Rookie of the Year because they gave it to the Toronto guy, which was Scotty Barnes, which was ridiculous, but that's what they did.
Yeah.
And, and people just remember, Jared Allen, he was with the loser Nets. Now, all of a sudden, they're looking at the schedule and saying, well, we're going to have to schedule this team more often on television. And there will be athletes who are going to suddenly become available. You want a knockdown guy who can knock it down from three and be, he's going to be there. Believe me, he'll come out of the woodwork somehow. We've seen this before.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the Cavs have a lot of money coming in a year or two?
Yeah, they have Kevin Love at the $28 million his last year, and then LeVert, he's also an expiring.
That's right. And, Karis LeVert does nothing for me. I've been real open about that on the air. I don't think that Karis LeVert is the answer to anything but to, who lost half a step from when he was younger and doesn't shoot very well. And that would be Karis LeVert.
As a sixth man, he's decent, though.
And again, that's what's going to keep him his job is you got to have depth coming off the bench. I mean, you just can't look at four players and say, we did it.
Yeah.
Yo, Adrian, we did it. You can't do that. I mean, you got to have people coming off the bench too. And that's why somebody like Okoro is going to stay with the team. I'm hoping that Jetty Osmond accidentally steps on a bus and that bus takes him out in the middle of a cornfield that he can never, remember the field, the maze in New England in The Shining, where at the end of the movie where crazy Jack Nicholson was going after his son, and he ends up freezing to death in this hedge maze. That's what I'd like to see with Jetty, but I don't want him to freeze to death. I just want him to just be in a constant circle that never gets near Cleveland ever again. Right?
No, Amsterdam. LeVert is not the Cavs Schwartz. Isaac Okoro is the Cavs Schwartz.
The Cavs Schwartz. That's a little bit strong. Isaac Okoro, you want to make a shooter out of somebody with a flat shot. The one thing Okoro has that LeVert doesn't have, and that's the ability to get around people and go to the hole. The problem is they just lay off him and he can't make a three. So he can't get that quick step and use his athleticism. And but he will be coming off the bench because he offers more than Jetty Osmond, who turns the ball over and plays like a Ritalin child. I mean, let's be honest. The coaching staff gave up on Jetty Osmond at the end of last year. And when Bickerstaff gives up on you, it's like, done. I wouldn't be surprised if Jetty's traded away, that we're not going to see him anymore. But again, the significance is the win now in the NBA is all predicated upon names. And now there will be yet another name that becomes available to the Cavaliers, and they will become one of the teams, and you're talking about one of the 6 teams, and I've already seen it being played out, and they have the top 6 teams, and like the numbers, the things that are above are like the 76ers. It's like real tenuous where you don't really know, geez, how good and how much longer before that bubble just bursts. But the Cavaliers are listed as 6th and it's like, what does that tell you? It tells you that people are going to want to see this, and it's a bandwagon league. So this is, make no mistake, the Cleveland Cavaliers' attempt at an all-in, win-now kind of philosophy.
And for the most part, we didn't really give up anything because, we obviously the picks hurt, but we gave up Markkanen, who was kind of hurt a lot last year. We didn't have Sexton last year. And then Abaji was supposed to be something, but we didn't play with him last year. And we got Mitchell now, a guy who can get us a bucket when we need it.
Well, and you know what the best part is though? Look at Mitchell's reaction. And I know he's not going to come out and
Yeah,
say, "Oh, I don't want to be here," but I mean, he looks legitimately happy to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And for everything you just talked about of, "Oh, why Cleveland? Why Cleveland?" It's nice to have a legitimate star in this city that is thrilled to be here.
Well, before we get ahead of ourselves, there was a time when Donovan Mitchell was happy in Utah. I
yeah,
can't imagine that being the case unless he wanted to have more than one wife. I don't understand the great thrill of playing in front of that, in that situation. But here's what I know is that things went cold last year. This is a team, the Utah Jazz, who is the 7th leading scoring team in the league by sharing the basketball. And Quinn Snyder, the guy who was the architect for all 6 seasons of playoff appearances in a row, was terminated.
yeah.
And, and Rudy Gobert, who was the big defensive presence for them, got shipped off to Minnesota. And what they're talking about now is like wholesale. I mean, this is all these draft picks that they're getting. They're going to load up on more and more picks, and they're in rebuild mode. And they
Go
ahead.
I was saying, the GM is there too right now. Danny Ainge, who did the same thing with the Celtics.
That's right. And again, it's really funny because they're comparing, the all-in style and comparing it to the just as many picks as you can get kind of thing, and then adding on from there. And this is what the Cavaliers have done. You hit on Darius Garland, you hit on Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen, who I still think needs to be kicked in the ass to play hard night after night. We'll see.
Yeah.
But that would be my wrap on that player. And now you've got Donovan Mitchell. You have the foundation of something not only good, but young. And now you can start adding pieces as you go, not from the draft, but the way we did when we were vying for championships. Danny Ainge is at the very beginning of that road, hoping to get the next Darius Garland, hoping to get the next Evan Mobley, and just accumulating as many draft picks as he humanly can. They've thrown in the towel over there. I don't even know who the hell the coach is over there, but Quinn Snyder did a really good job. Couldn't get past the second round. Last year lost in the first round, and they lost patience. And this has gone as far as it can go, and that's it.
By the way, that comment is absolutely hilarious. Leaving Utah and coming to Cleveland is like going to Vegas. I didn't think about it like that, but yeah.
Yeah, again, and it's not like the Utah Jazz. If it weren't for Donovan Mitchell, I mean, tell me, you knew about Rudy Gobert because he was 7'3" and shot blocker. But what else did you know about the Utah Jazz? And I was looking at their roster and going, wow, I think Quinn Snyder did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And that's no way to say thank you to him, but be that as it may, they're going to, and I'm sure they're going to be a run and gun West team. And because with a bunch of young players, what else can you do? And it's going to be a hard couple of years in Utah. And they will be shunned by the fans. That's Mormon terminology. So that's that. Cavaliers are going to be publicized, and that's that. They're going to get more, and they're going to get better calls as a result of it.
Yeah.
They'll be expected to do well, and if they get off to a good start, they'll get advantages with all these players as part of the ritual of publicity generation for the NBA. So that's Cavaliers, which is great. Now there's something more. There's the Browns. The Browns have the funniest of all paths to win now mentality because I don't think they have that mentality. And I don't understand what Andrew Berry does, why he does it. I don't understand why Jimmy Haslam, even though he's silent, when you saw his sorry, uneducated ass on the plane to see Deshaun Watson, was like, fuck, this can't go well. He's involved. Now, I know that he has to have say on everything, but I just don't like seeing him. I don't like him or his wife being around anything. Leave it up to people who know. But so I got the quarterback. We have two really good running backs who's only going to be one at the end of the year because Hunt's going to go someplace else.
Hey, you know who Jimmy Haslam is? Jimmy Haslam is that one uncle you see at Christmas every year that you just regret having to go meet with family because you know he's going to be there.
Yeah, whenever he's not visible, better things happen. When he suddenly showed up and then it was the Watson thing, you knew it was all just, he's a doofotch.
And I wasn't here for the press conference, but I just wanted to say that was a mess. The one that he had after the suspension was announced, and to me that solidified I think the whole Deshaun thing. Yes, Andrew Berry kind of had a role, but I really think Jimmy Haslam was the one behind it.
Yeah, and if you want to look at somebody who's equally stupid, look at the owner of the Texans. That guy, I mean, are these a bunch of trust fund children who never worked for anything in their lives? I for the life of me, can't figure out. These men are sitting on gold mines, and it can't be from their native intelligence because God only knows they're not smart people. And when they open their mouths, they say incredibly stupid things. And so the Browns, you're sitting there saying, well, we got Deshaun Watson, so there's going to become more things available to us. Wrong. I mean, we didn't do anything to get any wide receivers. And
hey, before I forget,
yes.
I don't know if you've seen the news, but the Browns are close to signing former Steelers tight end Jesse James, so he'll be our third tight end on that roster. And hopefully we cut Kellen Mond to bring him on because Kellen Mond is the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life. I just want that
Kellen
to be
Mond
known.
is a joke, and he's a body. But Jesse James, I'm not going to make the obvious reference. We got robbed. That would be too easy. But tight ends, more tight ends. It's like, give me a fucking wide receiver, would you please? And there's no way to get to the elite level.
Hey, what I tell you Monday? I told you that if we didn't have a receiver by Friday, I'd be super livid. Well, thank you, Cleveland Cavaliers, because I am not as upset because I have not had to think about the Cleveland Browns for a couple days now. So thank you very much. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you.
Now, Tom, somebody is pulling your chain. We're quite happy with our puncher, and obviously this is going to be used against the Browns in such a way that, and I think before I get off the whole Browns thing, I think everybody knows how I feel about the lack of wide receivers. I don't understand how this is a long-term play because by the time you get the receivers, Watson will still be there, but what about your offensive line? It was just reported that Conklin, they're hoping now that he plays in the first week, but they're not guaranteeing it. Before it was, he'll be ready. Now, not so fast. And who knows? We already saw what happened to Deshaun Watson when he played with a miserable football team in Houston.
Well, we know who Brian Burns is going to be lined up against.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating being a Browns fan because there is no plan. It's almost like we sidetrack. It was like the Manziel selection. I mean, it's like we had one thing decided upon in the room, and then Haslam just starts going, I talked to the kid. I talked to him, and he's gonna wreck this league, And all of a sudden, man, we changed the entire future of the organization with one bold, lousy stroke. We had such an opportunity, and Derek and I have been over this over and over again. You were in the perfect position to select a quality wide receiver, and you didn't do it. And I swear to God, if Mitch Trubisky starts throwing touchdown passes to George Pickens, I'm gonna pull an Elvis and shoot the screen out of my television. I'm gonna be a mighty unhappy guy. Because all these people were available to the Browns if they wanted to choose them. So there were, 4 different wide receivers. Isn't that what we said, Derek?
I know 3 for sure, if not 4. Because I know, let's see, it was Pickens, Sky Moore, and then the kid that the Steelers ended up getting later, Calvin Austin III, who we talked about for how long on this program. Hey, the Browns like this guy. Pay attention to him. Well, guess what? Apparently they didn't like him at all. Yeah, that or they knew the Steelers loved him because they had a chance to take him a few times, I think, and then nope, we're good. We're good with I'm not even gonna say Anthony Schwartz, but you get the point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all to me. But while I'm talking about the Browns, I want to make a point. And again, I don't care about political correctness. All right. Gender equality is exactly what the words imply. That gender, female, male, or whatever nowadays is somewhere in between, if they're competent, capable people, deserve the equal opportunity to achieve success. Gender equality. Now, there should be nobody who is against gender equality. It was like, I remember years ago in a political election, it's like, I'm running my presidential campaign on loving the flag. And it's like, I wouldn't fuck in a flag, but Jesus, I got nothing against the flag. What kind of, you're going to run the country because you love the flag? Who's going to argue that gender equality is a good thing? And we have all these people now who are, they've become like an unruly mob after this whole Deshaun Watson thing. So now we have Cynthia Frelund, the Buffalo Bills sideline reporter, formerly of the NFL Network, totally screwing the pooch professionally. Going in, talking to Baker Mayfield, and she reports that Baker said, I'm going to fuck the Browns up. And it's like, is this a scoop? I mean, first of all, I know how Baker plays, and I know that he's got to have somebody to be angry at. He's got to have a chip on his shoulder. And when he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, he's mediocre. And he'll do anything he can to pump himself up because deep down, he's not good enough. And I think he knows that. He's got, if you're really sure of yourself and you're really calm and in charge, you don't need any of that noise outside to get you excited about playing a game. You're just good at what you do. Tom Brady, I mean, it was like Tom Brady doesn't even know who in the fuck he's playing every week. He's just out there winning. That's the deal. So we have a female reporter breaking the first rule of broadcast journalism ethics and turning a private conversation public. And in the process, putting Baker into the line of fire so that the first thing he's done since he was named the starter of the Panthers, is to say, I'm going to fuck the Browns up in week 1. Of which 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are not good, Woody Hayes would say. And if he wins, then it's like, oh, isn't he great? Until he comes down to earth and people realize that when he plays other teams, he'll be good some weeks, not so good the other. If he comes out in the first week at home and loses to Jacoby Brissett and plays a game in which he throws off his back foot and floats balls all over hell and back, fans are not going to be happy because they don't even have Sam Darnold down to come in behind him. They don't even have Matt Corral behind him. They're stuck with him. And the boos will start earlier as opposed to later. That's the other thing that can happen. The third thing is that he's nondescript. And then it's like, well, geez, that's not our answer.
Well, and you know the other thing, to your point about the fans, Browns fans have a reason to love Baker. You know what I mean? Regardless of what everybody's opinion is on him, the fan base in Cleveland has a reason to love him when he played here, right? Carolina fans don't have that. They have no attachment to Baker. To them, he's just another guy that they just added, and they hope that he can work out. If he does not, they will turn on him faster than Browns fans turned on him. And a lot of people forget that. So that is, you're correct in saying that, because who knows if he comes out and he talks a big game. And by the way, everybody knows he did say that. I don't care if he says he didn't say it. He definitely said it. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. You're going to talk yourself into a corner.
And I beg to differ. I don't fully understand the social ramifications of transgenderism, nor am I a spokesperson. But if there is a person who is transgendered, who is capable, who excels at what they do, they should move as quickly up the ladder as anybody else. Gender equality means just that. Cynthia Frelund should be suspended for what she did, because she came back after the fact and said, oh, no, I didn't say, no, Baker didn't say that. So you were lying? And what she says in her second, reportage, she says, as a woman in sports, it's like, wait a second here. You're not in sports. You're a fucking sideline reporter. Please. You're not in sports. You're in broadcasting. And your point of view is equally valid as far as politically how you feel about something. But what she said was, I went in there because I'm a Baker supporter, because I'm a woman. I'm a Baker supporter, meaning I'm not a Deshaun Watson supporter. Okay? Why do we need to hear this? Why is that professional behavior? And on top of it, you took a private conversation public, then you have to come back afterwards. And then she still says, no, it was me who went in there and said, hey, Baker, fuck him up. No, that's really professional behavior, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, if it were anybody else right now, she's riding a crest of gender inequality, the very thing that these folks are supposed to be fighting for. I'm all in favor. To me, women and men must be accountable for what they say and what they do. The 23 women who have accepted money had an opportunity to go all the way with their civil lawsuit and really make their statement. And they didn't do it. They didn't. They took the money. Because that's what they wanted. So don't tell me you're a social justice warrior, please, when you're in it for money. And if we're talking about gender equality, If I go to court and a man represents me and he lies to me by telling me he's a lawyer and he's not really a lawyer, oh, he's in trouble and oh, I'm in trouble. If you put your name and your likeness on Instagram and you say you're a massage therapist and you're not licensed, bafungu you too.
Well, and if you're Baker, I mean, what are you supposed to say? Like, yeah, I think we can all agree that Baker probably lied, but he can't come out and say that he said that.
Yeah.
You know, he's getting a second chance on a new team. So I mean, from his standpoint, you put him in a corner that you didn't have to. So I mean, Baker had problems with the media in Cleveland, and I can't blame Baker for this one. You know, like you said, if
Yeah,
that's
I
a
agree.
private conversation, how can I be upset at myself?
I don't blame Baker. Baker is Baker.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Baker said he was going to fuck, you know, whether he wakes up, you know, feeling dangerous or he's going to fuck us up or he's going to hand the ball to Hugh Jackson, whatever the fuck he's going to do. We've already seen the act. We don't need to be told that as fans. We know what he's like, and it doesn't bother me if that's what gets him all starched up and ready to roll. But I'm not going to lie to myself and say that 3 women didn't come out back in 2020 and say that Baker Mayfield was trolling Cheesecake Factory parking lots for oral sex. Look it up. Look it up.
And then there was not that long ago, it was not a big time story, but there was another female who got Baker in the DMs again saying stuff, you know, which again, all players do this. So I'm not singling out Baker, but we got to stop pretending like, oh, Baker Mayfield is the perfect representation of the NFL. Like, that's just not the truth.
So here's somebody trying to come in again. Don't you love these folks?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But you know, this time, you know, Stu, if you have something you want to say, put it in the chat room. But Stu, your forehead sucks. Your forehead absolutely sucks. So TikTok, he's gone. Nice try though.
Yeah. Oh, you're losing your channel, but I look like the idiot.
Yeah, I'm losing my channel. What a lovely way of saying how much you love me. I'm losing my channel. Oh, like it's my channel. It's YouTube's channel. God almighty. And again, there's an equality thing here. The standards that we set up as journalistic standards should go for women and go for men. That's fair. Suspend her. She broke ethics. It's that simple. And no, Baker can't be called out for that situation, although I'm sure he feels that way, and he's probably got reasons why he should feel that way. But her, as a woman, I don't care. I don't care if you're a woman, if you're a man. I don't care if you're transgendered. You're either honest or you're not. You're either good at your job or you're not. You either follow an ethical process in your job or you don't. It's real simple for me. What kind of a reporter goes in and says, fuck him up, Baker? What is she, some kind of a goddamn groupie? Did anybody see her at Cheesecake Factory? Just checking. And the social justice warriors are really great. Don't you love the people who are on there saying, you know, oh, this guy's a rapist and this is this and this and this, and we do this for women. And look, this is what you get in return. Isn't that great? Fuck them up. That's really something we want to hear from a social justice warrior female in these trying times. Fuck them up. Thank you. And the Buffalo Bills don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because if they suspended her, you can't do that to a woman. You're silencing a woman. Silence her. Because she deserves to be silenced until she learns how to do her job properly. I wouldn't fire her.
the Buffalo Bills don't want to touch that, but they also want to draft somebody who they knew well before what happened with him. Yeah. Keep pretending you're innocent. Same with you, San Diego State. You shouldn't be allowed to play football this year. Keep pretending like you didn't know.
Yeah, and and Jim, yeah. I mean, again, you know what I want to see more than anything in my life? And gender equality. Yeah, when Doris Duke was doing stuff for the NBA, wasn't it nice seeing a middle-aged woman who didn't have perky breasts doing a play-by-play of a basketball game? Hey, if a woman is good, there's going to be the first woman who's, the next really, really great play-by-play person. It will happen. It'll happen in my lifetime. And when I see her, I'll be the first one to talk about it because I'm all for it. But you can't tell me that every Fox News hiree is this beautiful woman and that all the sideline reporters are babes. This is insulting. There are talented women who are less attractive. I want to see them. I want to hear what they have to say and what they have to offer. For God's sakes. It's just unbelievable. So, gender equality, that to me is what it is. And anybody who says that they're really social justice warriors for women and they're putting up with this kind of bullshit, they're not. They've never been the friends of women. If the basis by which you're hired is what you look like, if it's the Hollywood casting couch, yes, you can say, oh, Harvey Weinstein and all these Democrat liberals out there in California. But the fact of the matter is, y'all support it. Y'all want your sports delivered by a pretty face. Fuck that shit. This just throws me for a loop. And then there's the Guardians. The Guardians have a $70 million payroll or less. And probably got up to $70 billion because they doing the deal with Jose Ramirez. But how are they supposed to win? Yeah. What is win now in Major League Baseball? And for the Guardians, it's got to keep the scores down as low as you can and rely on your starting pitchers. Well, two of them are gone now. Savale, gone with forearm inflammation, and Plesac, gone with a fracture of his fifth metacarpal. Gone. They're on the 15-day IL, and we're bringing up two more guys. One guy starting tonight. He's never pitched a major league game in his life. The other one is the African-American pitcher whose name Xavier or something or other that has pitched once, did okay. So what is the win now strategy? There is no win now strategy. The only win now is how little the Guardians can spend and manage to keep games close and develop whatever players they can develop, because they're never going to get Aaron Judges. They're never going to get the big boppers who could hit 40 home runs a year. You can't afford them. So there is no real win now in baseball. I give the Guardians a whole lot of credit for having some of the guys, now I do complain Owen Miller should not be out there. And, there are people who, they've sat down Miles Straw, but putting in Benson in his place is just substituting a 190 hitter for a 190 hitter. And they can both play a good defensive center field, but quite honestly, there's no indication 6 years in the minor leagues and Benson couldn't get up to the big leagues until now. He's not a fast mover, folks. This is a stopgap. And, we got to go after this with line drive hitters. And we've got to string hits together And if we can get to 4 runs, we can win. But the problem is 2 in a row now, we scored 0 over 18 innings. And this is not the first time this has happened. And somehow we ended up with a 16-11 record in the month of August. But we didn't score runs for shit. We got great pitching, but 2 of our 5 starters are down now. It's going to be tough. So, and to be very honest with you, you say Donovan Mitchell is going to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers, the fans are showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, that place is going to be en fuego. It's like, oh my God, we're back. We're back in business. That's a wonderful thing. However, on the other hand, fans are not flocking to Progressive Field. It ain't happening.
Part of the problem is we have 3 sports and there's only just so much money that can go around.
Well, I mean, it's you couldn't possibly compete with New York and Los Angeles and big markets. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to parrot Paul Dolan. I'm just being truthful. And the Guardians ownership can't be upset when fans don't come to the stadium because they're just waiting for all the bad news to fall at once and the Twins to pass them up. That's what will happen. Twins are a better baseball team. They're not great. The White Sox are 5 games behind, but I don't know if you saw, Derek, what's happened with do you remember earlier in the year when I was talking about Tony La Russa, when we played them and I'm watching and there was this bizarre circumstance where they were pitching to Jose Ramirez in a close game. They were down like 2-0 in the count. And he brings in a relief pitcher, and instead of walking Ramirez, he just has the guy come out and throw the pitch over the middle of the plate, and Ramirez just crushes it, and the Guardians win. And I'm like, what the hell? That's not...
I don't remember that, but yeah.
Oh, it was bizarre, and it was questioned, and it was even more interesting when I listened to the broadcasters for the White Sox saying that didn't make any sense.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I do remember that. Yeah.
And, you know, that the team has been kind of adrift in a wide open race and they can't seem to gain traction. Out of nowhere, an hour before game time, La Russa's joking and laughing with the reporters. And the team says he's out due to medical reasons. Then you're like, wow, they pulled him for medical tests. Might be his heart, so don't screw around with it. Nobody saw that there was anything wrong with him. 2 days later, they say indefinitely out. And then I remember, guy's 78 years old. And then I think about some of the decisions. And I'm saying to myself, are we looking at Alzheimer's? I don't know a thing. But when somebody says an unspecified medical condition, it's going to make you wonder. And I feel terrible if that were to be the case, that would be a horrible thing. The players' response to him being sat down, in essence, was, and he did everything he could. He was really doing his best. And it's like, oh boy, I'm steering clear. But for the Guardians, it's how long can you hold on by your fingernails before you fall off the ledge? That's, So Cleveland fans, you got one team right now that is going to be supported. It's going to be a lot on television. You got a team that's going to be talked about a lot, but for all the wrong reasons, in the Browns. And then you have the Guardians, who fans won't come out and see, and will just sit back when they fall back in the pack here in the final 30-odd games of the season and fade down the stretch. And fans will say, you see, you can't win without a payroll. Got to pay people, Paul. And that will be forever what hounds the organization. So,
So so at this point, you don't have them go into the playoffs right now.
you know, I could see them getting into the playoffs. I don't see them winning the division,
Okay.
which is something that was being talked about not so long ago. But now, with 40% of their starting pitching out,
Yeah.
not a good situation. So I don't know. I hope they hang on, and I think they're entertaining. I love the guys on the team. I love Jimenez, and I love Ramirez, and Naylor is a hoot. And these guys, they getting all psyched up and fired up, and it's fun to watch people who are into what they're doing. And I give Francona all the credit in the world for pulling this group of players who are, quite honestly, many of them were not even on radar, and getting them to play at this level for this long. And I've always said the baseball season's too long because the money wins at the end, and the payroll wins, and the bigger players will always, over the long haul. You're not going to get very many upsets. Same thing with the NBA season. I mean, the Cavaliers were all the rage. Then, man, you just watch them go from a sure playoff spot to that play-in situation you knew they were going to lose at. The bottom can fall out because by the end of the year, you got guys who are younger. I mean, you look at the Guardians are like the second youngest roster in all of baseball. These guys are used to playing shortened AAA and AA seasons. It's going to be hard for them through September, and I think maybe the bats are getting a little heavy. Maybe that's why we're having trouble scoring. So, I want to see him make it, but to expect that would be wrong. That would be wrong. So, before we get out of here, Derek, I want your final input on Ohio State tomorrow at 7:30. Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, my cousin, love her to death, but she decided to get married on the opening day of Ohio State football.
Oh no!
And I don't know how much of it I'll be able to watch, but we'll see.
Well, I'm going to make a point of following Ohio State this year, just because, again, that's just one more thing for me to do, and I have the means to see all of the Ohio State games. So that is cool.
And I'm surprised. Did you see the news about college football?
Yeah, 12.
Yes.
Yeah, the 12-team playoffs,
which I'm against.
Show me the money.
You know what's so ridiculous about that? I mean, they fought tooth and nail to expand the playoffs, and it was the debate: 6 teams, 8 teams. Nope, we got to keep it to 4. Nope, can't. Nope. God forbid we go even 2 more teams. And then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, we'll throw in 12. Why? Do it right the first time, and now you get a second chance, and now you got too many teams in there. So what's going to happen? Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma. I'm trying to think of the others. Maybe that's it off the top of my head.
Notre Dame, maybe.
I wouldn't throw Notre Dame in there, but those top however many schools I just named will be in every single year because you decided to take it to 12.
I mean, CJ Stroud, I want him to just put that ball on the dime to every wide receiver. I can't stand Notre Dame. I mean, if there was one program that is the most coddled program for no good fucking reason, I mean, they stopped being a major factor a long time ago. So I want to see us just hide them, man. I mean, just whip and tar and feather them.
Well, every time we've played them recently, we've destroyed them. And for whatever reason, Notre Dame fans think that this is going to be different. I will tell you the one big thing that you need to watch, and it has nothing to do with the offense. The offense is going to be fine. And ironically, the most excited player let me rephrase that. The player I'm most excited to watch this year is going to be our left tackle. Paris Johnson Jr. is a left tackle, and we try to play him at right guard. We tried, and I understand he's uber talented, get him on the field, but he's a left tackle, and now he's finally playing his position again. So I'm pumped about that. So I can't wait to see how he grows. I know he's going to be fantastic. He'll be a top pick in the draft. But as far as what you need to be watching for, watch the defense, because the defense was the story for Ohio State last year, and it's kind of been the story for a couple years now. Jim Knowles coming over from Oklahoma State had that program second-ranked defense in college football, just behind that stacked Georgia defense. And, I mean, the talent that he's going to have to work with here in Columbus is much greater than what he had at Oklahoma State. And a lot of the guys that he, his top talent over there, he brought over here. He brought a safety who's kind of a hybrid, you know what I mean? Can play that linebacker safety role. At Ohio State, it's called the silver bullet for a lot of people who will know that term. But the defense is really going to be the big thing. If we come out, tomorrow, I guess. Yeah. If we come out tomorrow and we play sound defense and we're flying around, especially in the secondary, that's going to be the big story for me, because that is going to determine how well we are going to play this year. Starts with that defense.
Defensively, Notre Dame doesn't have the speed to handle. I can see wide receivers potentially having a very large game. And if they can run, if what you're saying is right about Paris Jr., if he is a solid left tackle and they can develop a running game that's a solid running game against Notre Dame, then it's over. Because they can strike at will. The speed isn't there for Notre Dame.
It's kind of like the Bengals in a sense of you got 3 to 4 just outstanding receivers and a quarterback that can deliver that ball. And if Joe Mixon can get things moving on the ground, the Bengals offense is going to flourish. I mean, if
he stays healthy, and that's right.
Yeah, that's what it is for Ohio State. And TreVeyon Henderson, I mean, if you had to compare him, he's definitely a top 3 back in college football. I mean, Bijan Robinson, people would probably
I got Robinson one.
But TreVeyon Henderson this year, and he's put on a little bit more size. That kid, if he can stay healthy, and it's unfortunate because Evan Pryor, who's I believe he was a 5-star, he was going to be really good for us. He tore his ACL. He'll be out for the year. But we still have Mayan Williams. They call him Meatball. He'll be a good, reliable number 2. So I'm not worried about it. I couldn't care less about Notre Dame, to be honest with you. I don't even view them as a threat. That's just me.
Yeah. So everybody, thanks a lot for jumping in, and Derek and Peter, let's enjoy what we see this weekend. I'm going to watch this young kid pitch tonight for the Guardians. That might be a kind of a quick outing. I think he might get the quick hook because he's been hurt most of the year, and he's only recently been throwing up to as many as 62 pitches, I think, at AAA at a time. And this is going to be it's going to be one of these games where if you get 3 innings or 4 innings out of this kid, they're going to lift him, and then it's going to become a bullpen game. So, and the team we're playing, the Mariners, are en fuego right now. They're very hot. They're right there as far as, solid playoff team.
Hey, before we wrap up, what Rick commented, that has got to be the craziest story in professional football I've ever seen. The Ravens mascot tearing his ACL.
Well, no, I mean, it was ridiculous. They were actually having a game, and the guy, it was like a mascot game, and it was against, but the guy really nailed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of shit is that? I mean, I was expecting one of the other mascots to take off their helmet and start swinging it, which we know is a suspendable offense in Cleveland, but it's not a big deal when Aaron Donald does it in practice. Somebody has to explain to me how swinging helmets at people is more dangerous in a regular season game than it is in practice.
Well, let's be honest. Let's be honest here. What we're talking about, right? It's the same thing. But what did you just say? You said helmets, plural. Aaron Donald swung helmets, plural.
Yes.
Miles Garrett swung a helmet. So I guess there's a difference between 1 and 2 that gets you suspended and the other gets you a slap on the wrist.
Yeah. Caption Fierce, yeah, you just woke up. You were living in a cave. We were all living in a cave sometimes. Yes, we got Donovan Mitchell. And you can go back to the beginning of the show. I talk about it at great length. So thanks, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Back again come Monday, and we'll see what the future brings and what names come up. And, we'll only be, my goodness, a week away from opening week. It's going to be awesome. So Thanks, Derek, and thanks, Peter, and we'll see everybody again on Monday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Go Buckeyes.
Go Bucks. Eyes.